Tabor, it's your 6th year of college baseball, correct?
Yes, sir.
Just talk about 6 years later, the excitement that you have as opening day approaches.
Oh man, we have an exciting team this year. We're ready to get after it. You mentioned it's 6 years, but it's still a blessing to be doing this, and just excited for an exciting season ahead. I love the group of guys we got, and ready to make one last push at it to get the Seahawks back to where we belong in the postseason. So.
Early this week, you were named one of the top 50 shortstops in the nation by D1 Baseball. Just talk a little bit about what went into that accolade.
It's an honor to be named in that list, but ultimately it's a preseason thing, and now it's time to go out on the field and just play my hardest every day for this program and try and help us win, and let the rest take care of itself. It's a cool honor, but ultimately I'm more concerned about us dogpiling at the end of the year and us winning a conference championship and being back in the regionals and hopefully further. So.
14 newcomers, some in the infield. Just talk about what was done to help acclimate them to the speed of the college game.
Even though we lost a good chunk of guys last year, and Brooks and Balcom and Suggs and other guys, we still have a good core group of leadership guys, older guys, and we've really made it a point to work with them every day. The coaches, they made it. Hey, they let us know we got young guys. We need you to work with them, take them under your wing, and me, Kroom, Trevor, Dylan, we've all. There's other guys, Ron, guys I haven't named, but we've all made it a point to take those guys under our wing and make sure they feel acclimated and accepted and ready to compete at a high level. So.
One of those newcomers is Brock Wills at second base right now. Just tell us what you see from Brock being a freshman and getting into the game.
Brock, the kid's unbelievable. We got to see him against Liberty, against Clemson, and then, scrimmaging against each other the whole fall, and he just we have a really talented group of pitchers, but he tore our guys up. He's an incredibly hard hitter to get out, and he's an incredible athlete, can run, can cover a lot of ground, and we expect him to do some incredible things as a young freshman this year. He's going to be a huge part of the winning product on the field. So.
Okay. Opening weekend, big weekend. UVA, Navy, and Ohio. Just talk about what it'd be like to have another great turnout for opening weekend.
Oh, it'd be awesome. We got to win the first one against Ohio first, but obviously we all know Virginia's coming in, and we expect that to be a big game. But on Friday the 17th, the mindset turns to just going 1-0 every day. We'll focus on Ohio and then focus on whoever's after that. So, but we're excited, ready to get after it and go 1-0 every day. That was the mindset last year. We're carrying that into this year, and it's an effective mindset when done the right way. So,
Brian, top 50 catcher as a sophomore. Just talk a little bit about growing through your freshman year and getting into your sophomore year and getting that kind of an accolade.
Yeah, I think freshman year it was kind of a struggle for me, to be honest. I know some people think, I'm a top 50 catcher. Why would that be a struggle for you? But I think there was a lot left that I can prove and a lot that I can improve on to be an even better catcher than I was last year.
Okay. Returned 54 of 55 starts on the mound. Mm-hmm. Worked with them all last year. Just talk about their mindset, your mindset as a group heading into the new season.
I think this year our pitching staff is a lot deeper than it was last year. I think we have a lot more guys that we can trust and that we can throw out there in any situation and get the job done. I think this year they've all improved and their stuff is even better than last year, and I think that we're going to be a really good team defensively behind our pitchers.
Any of the newcoming pitchers really stood out so far?
Connor Kane is one that really stuck out to me. He came in with 5 pitches and good command and a good mindset going on the mound, just a bulldog mentality and not afraid to face anybody, and that's the kind of pitchers that we need on this staff.
Jack, 14 newcomers on a roster this year, being a veteran player. Just talk a little bit about the integration of the new guys with the returning players.
Yeah, I think a big thing is just trying to keep the culture that we have here built and really instill it in the young guys. And it starts this summer. Some of us staying back and just helping them get in the weight room and understand the standard and what the guys before us have set. So I think that was a big part of it.
Okay. Starting, of course, in the infield for third straight year. Just talk about, as you look across the infield this year, just talk about what you see from the guys.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is depth. I think we have a lot of different, matchups we can play, a lot of different avenues that we can, pursue, and I think we'll be really solid, and we have a lot of different ways we can go about it.
Okay. Growing up in Wilmington, did you go to a lot of games when you were a kid here at UNCW?
I didn't go to as many as I would have liked to said I did, but I definitely go to probably about 5 or 6 a year, and it was a good experience for sure.
Now that you've been here for 4 years, just talk about what you've seen in the crowds that come out for the games. It's a big weekend coming up, UVA, Virginia, Navy. Just talk about the importance of the crowd playing into the game.
Oh yeah, it's definitely huge, and I know some weekends, with weather and whatnot, it's not as presentable to come out, but when we need the fans, they definitely show up, and especially in big games like that, like you look at State last year, we basically sold out in a 13-11 game, I think it was, and the crowd definitely helps us keep momentum and plays a huge part in that.
6 preseason opponents are in the D1 baseball top 25. Just talk about the challenge year in and year out of playing against those non-conference opponents.
Yeah, it's just a great way to build up a resume, and I think we're just as good as any other guy we're going to come across, and it's just about putting ourselves out there and not backing down, knowing that everyone puts on their pants the same way as us and just competing.
Okay. Also have 3 new opponents in the CAA. What do you know about the schools that are coming in?
To be honest, not much. It's just go out there every weekend and try to take it game by game, and when the time comes that we play those guys, we're going to look into it, but right now worried about opening day and just how we can compete each day.
Trevor, returning veteran, you missed most of last year. Just talk about what you did to get back on the field and during the season.
Over the summer, I would hit with my hitting coach back home because I didn't have much access here because didn't have my place that I stay here, so I went back home for a few months, and I would hit with my hitting coach back home, and it would mainly start off the tee because I wasn't cleared, and she said I could hit off a tee. And so then I came back down for my 2-week appointment, and she said that I had 2 more weeks. And I was like, well, I'm not really going to be coming back down here, so I'm just going to keep on doing the rehab and keep on doing what I'm doing, and then I'll finally get into it. So then I started hitting on the field and kind of developing my swing again, getting back into it, and then I played 2 weeks of summer ball.
Okay. Now, last year on the sidelines, first time you were on the sidelines, talk about how you went about day by day, still staying into it, but knowing you were not going to get on the field.
I kind of try to turn myself into a player's coach. So, I wouldn't get on to anybody. If somebody was slacking a little bit, I'd be like, hey, man, pick it up in an encouraging way. But I kind of just try to be there for my teammates, kind of talk to them if they need help. Dylan would do it sometimes. He'd come to me, hey, Trevor, what do you see? I'd be like, listen, man, you're landing a little too heavy on the front side, just things like that. I just try to turn into a player coach.
Okay. With that new gained experience, how did you bring that into this fall, where you had 14 newcomers on the program? Almost half the team was newcomers. Just talk about how you applied what you learned last year into this fall.
I think I don't really focus on my game anymore. I think I kind of just go out there and play and just do my thing. I kind of focus on them, helping them and helping them with what they need to get through, or if something's not going their way, kind of talk them through it and motivate them and keep them going. So I don't really focus on my game anymore. I want to do good. I want to be here. I want to support my team, but I'm more focused on them developing, them learning things that I didn't know at the time that I know now, and seeing how that can help them become successful.
Okay. Talk about helping others and others becoming successful. Who had a great fall that you were really proud to see turning around, maybe?
I would say Tanner Thatch kind of surprised me. I would say just because me being a lefty, his swing is so much different than mine. Granted, he is a bigger boy than me. But when I first saw him swing, I was like, man, he puts a lot of power into his swing. how does that not develop bad habits for him? And then he just would hit in inter squads, hit in BP. I was like, wow, this dude can really hit.
Very good. Big opening weekend. You got Virginia, Navy, and Ohio. Just talk about starting off with, you have 6 nationally ranked opponents on your schedule. Just talk about Ohio and the Navy, and then of course Virginia, who's a top 10 ranked team.
I think it's good for us. I think it's going to show us how to compete, and if we want to make it to where we want to make it to this year, I feel like those are kind of the teams that we're going to have to play against, compete with, and just knowing that opening weekend are teams like that, and knowing that we're a little on the younger side, I feel like that would be good experience and a good way to start the season off.
Coach, an opening statement on the upcoming 2023 season, your 4th as head coach.
Yeah, first off, thanks for y'all coming out today. Appreciate it. We're excited. Guys have put in a ton of work since last summer, and the fall was really good. And we've got a lot of work in since the fall, and we've had a couple good first 2 weeks of the preseason, and just looking forward to competing. We got a really challenging schedule. The conference is a little bit different than what it's been in the past. We're playing 30 games now, so it's a lot of conference games, but excited to get started here in 10 days, and looking forward to just seeing how our guys get after it.
I'll let you pick the word of what you would describe last season as. 31-24, it seems like, kind of in the middle, but talking to the players that we just talked to, it seems like you guys have much higher expectations than that. Just, what you felt like at the end of last season.
Yeah, I felt like we underachieved. I was proud. We early had to go to an all-freshman rotation because of some injuries on the mound. And those guys really kept us in the year. The R.J. Sells, the Kyle Phalens, the Zane Taylors did a heck of a job on the mound for us when you're starting 3 freshmen on the weekend, basically, I want to say, for the last 9 to 10 weeks. But if you look at it team-wise, I felt like we underachieved and maybe didn't reach our potential. And, sometimes injuries do that. Sometimes just not getting the ball to bounce the right way at certain times of the year. But, I was very proud of the way we finished the last part of the regular season, the last 3 or 4 weeks. We had our backs against the wall a little bit, and our guys stepped up and played the way we were very capable of. And then conference tournament, we just had 2 bad days. The first day was a weird day because we were battling weather, and honestly, we didn't know where we were playing at. Told us to get on the bus, and you're either going to Greensboro or Duke. We'll let you know, and you got to get ready an hour and a half to play. So we loaded the bus, we sat and wait. They said you're going to Greensboro to play Hofstra, and we had an hour and a half to get ready. So just a weird first day of the conference tournament. We ended up losing in extra innings, and I think that just took a little mojo out of us for some reason, and then we didn't play really well at all against Elon and kind of got our tails whipped. And going 0-2 is not what we're used to doing, and I think a little chip on our shoulder, a little things to prove this year, and I think it's just stuff that you just put it on the back, and you just remember kind of how things ended, and you just keep working harder to kind of maybe clean some of that up this year.
And on the field stuff, you mentioned having a young rotation. What do you feel like are some of the opportunities for growth for this the 2023 team?
Well, I mean, recruiting and everything, it changed with the transfer portal. Obviously, we got 15 new players. We lost some guys, so our team changed a little bit, and just it's the way we look. We added some new arms, some older guys, and we added some really impact freshmen that, we had 3 freshmen that were potential Major League draft picks coming out of high school. One did get picked, Tanner Thatch, and the 2 others could have got picked if they'd chosen to take a certain amount of money that the clubs were offering, but they chose that school was more important than the money, and so we've got some really good young freshmen that'll be able to compete on the mound and play positionally for us. But just overall, I'm very happy with where we're at on the mound right now. I feel like we've got a good mix of lefty righties, some guys that we feel that can go and give us 5 or 6 innings, or hopefully a little more on as starts. And then we've got 7 or 8 guys I think can be big bullpen guys that are going to be able to pitch from the 5th, 6th, 7th inning on and give us a chance to shorten the game every day.
last year it felt like a lot of games came down to big at bats from a few players, and then it seems like there wasn't a ton of production spread out. Obviously, Brooks being one of them.
Yeah.
And he ain't playing for y'all anymore.
Yeah.
How do you approach trying to, I don't want to say like replace that production, but trying to plug in new guys that are going to be playing second and playing other places as well, and what finding that blend of hitters and fielders looks like?
Well, first of all, Brooks is one of the best players that have played here. You don't replace a two-time drafted guy, a player of the year, that kind of player. You just hope to have some guys come in, and whether it be 1, 2, 3, or different people, kind of fill in and put up the numbers that maybe that one guy did. And I look at it, we've got 4 or 5 guys, the Trevor Marshes, the Ron Evans, the Jack Crooms, the Dylan LaFerries. Those are 3rd, 4th, 5th year guys that have been in college baseball that have at moments been very, very good, but also maybe haven't reached their peak at the point. But I think all of them have had great falls. They're at a point in their life where I think they're really comfortable with how things are going, and I'm looking forward to those older guys like that offensively to pick up some of that slack. It's their time, it's their opportunity. And in a program like ours where, year in and year out, we're pretty good, your opportunity to play can come at different times. Some guys are ready as freshmen, some guys have to wait 2, 3 years to have their moment to get out there and play every day. But those are guys that have, I think, that have had the ability, for whatever reason, injury or being behind somebody else, hadn't been on the field regularly. But I think those 4, and there's other guys too, the Tabor Mongeros, he's been steady Eddie for us for 2 years. I mean, he's best shortstop in the league in my opinion, and just comes to play every day, knows his role. If he's batting wherever at in the lineup, he knows what he's doing, and most of the time we all feel like when the ball's hit to him, you're out. So, excited for those guys. I'm really happy that our catching, I feel really good about, our 3 young catchers, the Brad Arntz, Kevin Patera, Brad Gregory, and then the 2 young players I mentioned position player-wise, Brock Wills and Tanner Thatch. Both are going to have a chance to be names that a lot of people are going to know right off the get-go for UNCW.
And this is your 4th year here, obviously with COVID kind of changing eligibility things, but even things like injuries giving players another year. So you're approaching your first full cycle of recruiting a player, watching him grow and develop, and then watching them leave. What's that kind of been like for you as a coach, knowing that you've kind of built a strong foothold here, and that you're going through these, you're now about to basically finish your first wave of recruiting here. A lot of those players are now moving on. What's just kind of like where you feel like you're at as a head coach, knowing that you've kind of put your foothold in here?
Yeah, technically 22 years, and recruiting wise, I've had pretty much a big say for 22 years of who comes in our program. So it's my first cycle as a head coach, but not my first cycle recruiting. So not a lot has changed. I still have a big say so. I want to be involved with our recruiting. Things have changed. Just COVID changed a lot. It changed how we live a lot. I don't even really count that year. That was really just kind of a blip, and I wish we could have, because we had a heck of a team, and I felt like we were just getting things going at that moment, but it's the way things happened. And the next year, my 2nd year, we're 1 out away from winning the conference champion here against Northeastern. And just, again, the way the ball bounced, we give up 2 wind-blown home runs in the 9th and 10th inning, and we're staying at home that week. But I'm excited. Our coaches work their tails off. 3 of our coaches went to school here, so they know what UNCW is all about. They're guys that I recruited and coached. So loyalty and knowing people is huge for me, and trusting people is huge. But just from our team and everything, we've got a good base of where we're at right now. We've got a good mix of older guys. We've got a good mix of young guys, and we've still got guys coming up in the next couple classes that are going to be really good future Seahawks.
Speaking of guys coming up, I don't need to tell you about the depth of talent in Southeast North Carolina when it comes to baseball, and specifically your freshman class coming in. You guys got a lot of kids from the area. Kind of speak to, I won't say like the uniqueness, but like having a lot of talent. Growing up in your backyard and being the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, and being at the beach, and kind of a destination location for, maybe somebody like, Aubrey, who grew up in Southport, or, like the Benton brothers in Cerro Gordo,
Yeah.
or Connor Kane just down the street. What's it kind of like, trying to, these kids who are like playing against each other in high school, what it's like trying to, make them brothers and teammates?
No, there's a lot of good players in Eastern North Carolina, and even in our surrounding 3 counties. And it's one of our priorities recruiting-wise. If you just look at the history over the last 30 years, recruiting North Carolina is important for our program. It helps our scholarship dollars spread a long way by spending a lot of it in in-state money. But just locally, my philosophy has always been, if there's good players that can help us win conference championships and they're local players and they can come in and compete, we're going to do our best to try to figure out how to keep them here in the area and keep them in town. We get some, we lose some. Some kids grow up here and just want to see something different, be a part of something different, but most of them know how good of a baseball program we have and how well we've done at developing players over the years to get to the next level, that they know that they can reach all their goals baseball-wise, academic-wise, and social-wise right here close to home, and still be in an area where mom and dad or grandpa and grandma can see them regularly. So, it's nothing we don't shy away from local players, but we want players that can help us win baseball games and represent the university in the right way and do things the right way.
What do you think if there was one specific thing or some of the challenges you feel like this off season, after the end of last season, that you really wanted to tackle, and you 10 days away from your first game?
Just you always are trying to build the culture every year. You just want to keep getting it stronger and things like that. So, we talk to players. We talk to them over the summer. Even the summer school guys from the freshman class. We're starting things at that point in July and June with them. Overall, just getting our guys in here, want to get stronger. Like I think, and behind me, you can tell that we made some adjustments with some facilities to allow ourselves to, for us, the time commitment from practice, dealing with rain, weather, whatever we're dealing with. I like to be in the weight room 4 or 5 times a day or a week. And, this gives us a chance to keep our practices going, and guys can get their work in and things like that. And just maintaining your strength and building strength is huge for a college athlete. In our sport, it's huge for baseball. I think if your body's strong, your mind will be strong. And baseball is a game where it'll affect your mind a lot. With the ups and downs and the hills and valleys and the peaks and valleys, that kind of thing. But just the culture, our overall strength, just getting out and getting better skill-wise. We put a lot of work in practice. When these guys get out here, we don't have terribly long practices, but when we practice, we get after it for a couple hours, and we're going to get our work in, and then I give them their time to kind of go do their thing, and hopefully they're doing a lot of studying, and I will say I'm proud of them. They did a great job in the fall and continue to do a good job academically, but just overall, just continue to build the foundation that's been laid a long time before me, but just keep making it stronger and keep building what this program's all about.
Coach, like you said, you've seen a lot of teams, a lot of players. Going into this year, I think there's some people who might not know what to expect out of you guys. How do you define this team, and what's really been your perspective on these guys, new guys and guys you have returning? Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people, I don't know where we're at in all these polls. I've seen maybe one D1 baseball, maybe made us 4th, which, we're used to being 1st or 2nd, which preseason don't really mean anything. It's just kind of, it is preseason. I want to be at the top at the end of the season. But I kind of look at it like it's fine to kind of be maybe under the radar a little bit, if you can say our program's under the radar. I don't think we are, but if everybody wants to view us that way, fine, because I know we're going to be really good, and We're going to be very, very competitive. We're going to have our ups and downs, but I think we've got enough talent to kind of get through, and hopefully they're very small parts of our season. That's the key to having a good season, is you might have a hiccup here and there, but it's how you regroup and how you get back on the right track and keep stacking W's. You know, our goal every year is each day is we just worry about that day, try to go 1-0. And if we can go 1-0 that day, then we worry about the next day. And if you just keep stacking the 1-0s, that's how you build a good record. But, you know, our team, like I said, I feel really, really good about where we're at from a pitching standpoint. The first 3 weekends are going to give us a challenge just because we're playing 4 games on the weekend. And then after week 2, we play a midweek with Wake Forest and then a midweek over spring break against Charlotte. So that's kind of our first 14 games is 4, 4, 2, 4, 1. And those 4-game weekends over the first 3 weekends will really give us an idea where we're at pitching wise, because guys we're going to have to get a lot of help from different people. It also is going to force us to put 4 starters out there on the weekends, and one of them will eventually most likely move to the midweek at some point. But I'm confident right now in 4 or 5 starters to hopefully go out and give us good quality starts. And then, like I said earlier, I think we've got 7 or 8 bullpen guys that are as good as anybody, and if they stay healthy and throw the way they're very capable of and how talented they are, then we'll be able to close the gap at the end of the baseball games and kind of shorten them a little bit.
To you, what will be a successful season? Are there certain benchmarks, numbers, goals that you have, you know, posted in your mind, or maybe even physically posted somewhere, of what would be the benchmark of success for this team?
Well, just real simple things is, and I told them this the other day, just give me great hustle and great concentration every day, and you'll never hear a word from me, whether we win or lose. But if you give me great hustle and concentrate every day, whether it's practice or games, I think our talent will take care of things. If you look at goals, I mean, one of our goals is obviously we want to win the regular season. I think if you go and show yourself over 30 games that you're the best team in the league, that means a lot. My thoughts from bigger picture is I want to be in position to where every game matters, because we're trying to build a resume. We're trying to be an at-large team, because you can't always just roll your hopes into 4 days at the end of the season. And our program's good enough, our schedule's good enough to where if you play well throughout game 1 through game 56 and build a resume and get some quality wins in the midweeks and things like that, and win a lot of your non-conference games early on the weekends, you can put yourself in position to be top 40, top 50 RPI, and then you're in the mix of an at-large bid. Typically here in the years past, and like I said, I've been here 22 years, the formula is you need to finish in the top 2 in our league. It's just bottom line, whether you're playing 24 games or 30 games, you need to finish in the top 2, and you need to win half of your midweek games. The teams that we play, every one of them is really good. So you go 7-7 or even better than that against the East Carolinas, the States, the Coastals, the Campbells, the Charlottes, the Wake Forest. You're playing all teams that are going to be top 50 RPI teams. Now, do I want to be better than 500? Yes, but the magic formula is that for your non-conference. And then obviously the first 5 weekends of non-conference, or first 4 weekends, you've got to play well and win a lot of those games, especially since we're at home. The way the RPI is set up now is you can't lose home games, and you need to play more road games. And we actually, if you look at our schedule, we're probably about 4 or 5 road games more than what we've used to be. And a lot of that's just based on, I think that might help us from an RPI standpoint. But win the regular season, put ourselves in position to be one of the top 2 teams in the conference tournament, and then hopefully win a conference tournament championship, but have the ability to be an at-large team. And this team, you know, we talk about it all the time. We don't shy away from things. They want to be the first team to win a regional here. You know, we've been in 10 regionals since 2003. 6 of those were all regional finals, and We've knocked on the door. I mean, Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball, said we're probably the one team that's sitting out there that hasn't won a regional that is kind of should have won one by now. They keep saying East Carolina about the Omaha thing. Well, I guess we're the regional thing. But we just want to put ourselves to be in that position. And if we can get there, then the season's really short at that point. You got 64 teams at that point. And then after that, you're in a super regional where you only got 16 teams. And you're playing a 2 out of 3 series. And I feel good in the 2 out of 3 series against anybody. There'll be challenges because those teams are really good. But I feel like we're close. I feel like we're knocking on the door, and we just got to find a way to kind of push through that barrier. And you never know. You just keep dreaming and you keep working, and you just keep that vision right there always. And I think at some point we're going to get there.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you about the mental side of the game because I think it was interesting you brought up earlier. And as I was talking to some of the players, we were talking about kind of slumps that they've gone through in their careers. And obviously, in any sport, people like to hyper focus on slumps. Mm-hmm. But I feel like in baseball, especially, how do you navigate that as a coach, and especially in today's climate where everybody is certainly there's a big focus on mental health and just kind of staying strong. How do you navigate that as a coach, and how do you kind of help players and even the team come out of a slump?
Yeah, I mean, mental health has been a big focal point ever since COVID, really. Even though it was there earlier, it just seems like now it's a lot bigger. From a baseball athletic standpoint, you've just got to know the person you're dealing with. First of all, you want to, if it's a slump baseball-wise, you got to know how to interact with that person. As a coach, I've got 40 players, all of them are different. And you've got to know how to, some need a little bit of pushing, some need a little bit more loving and caring, and you just got to know how to handle them. And sometimes it might come from an assistant better than it does the head coach, because just the relationships and the bonds, because some of our assistants spend a lot more time with them pre-practice and things like that than I get to because of other things I have to deal with. So, we talk about it from a coaching staff standpoint, and the overall mental health of all of our students is so important. I want them to, one, be enjoying what they're doing and having fun every day. We talk about the ups and downs. We talk about the peaks and valleys and how to navigate that, because you don't want to be like the stock market, so to say. You kind of want to just be steady Eddie and just cruising. And we're going to have some hiccups, but it's how do we manage those hiccups and just kind of shorten things. But we do a lot of things. We do a lot of breathing exercises. We have a lot of, like, I haven't got to do it today, but the first 10 minutes of our practice, we sit and we talk and go over some things that are more team, whether it be mental or informative or motivational. We've got about a 10-minute period where we go through that stuff every day. It's kind of like our classroom setting before we go practice. I let the players talk. We have a leadership council of about 8 players that we meet a couple times a month, and I want them to let us coaches know what's going on with the team, and if there's things we need to change in practice, if there's things we need to do differently, and they're the voice of their team. And we're the coaches and we kind of lead, but the players, it's their team. And, we're going to have some rules and regulations, and we're not going to be wild and crazy, but we're going to have a good time, and we're going to do things the right way and try to continue to represent this university and this program the way it has in the past and will do.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Real quick, Coach, nothing to do with today. I don't know. Have you seen anything that Noah's been doing up there in Savannah, or just kind of what your impressions are of Banana Ball, and just seeing what he's been doing?
It's crazy, and I keep up with him. I know a lot of our players probably talk to him more than I do, but I follow him and see him on Instagram, and I saw him a couple weeks ago and talked with him a little bit. But one, I'm proud of him. I mean, he worked his tail off to finally get through school, and he had a lot of big moments for us in baseball, and he'd probably tell you that He wished he'd have done better, but I think, he's at a point in his baseball life where I think he needs to be. And, crazy thing about it is 2 weeks ago the Minnesota Twins called, and they were asking us if we knew of an outfielder that they needed somebody for spring training. And Noah's name came up, and we said, yeah. And they said, yeah, we know he's at the Savannah Bananas. Well, they ended up calling him and one of the other outfielders from Savannah, and they ended up choosing the other guy, which I talked to Noah, and knowing Noah, man, I'm so glad he got the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I was hoping it would be you. But he's still got talent, and but he's in a place right now where I feel like he's having fun and still get to play baseball, just doing it in a different way. Those guys are talented, even though it's a little different, it's a little weird, but they still have a lot of talent, and it's interesting to see how that's kind of unfolded over the last couple years, and I'll be interested to see how it keeps going. But he's a big part of it. I mean, gets to travel, do this world tour, gets to play baseball, gets to have fun. He loves to dance. He's a showman, so he's got some craziness to him, but he's a genuine good person that I'm happy that he's having a good time and still getting to do something like that before he actually maybe has to go get a real job.
Yes, sir. Coach,
Maybe they're paying him a whole lot more than I think they are. And if they are, God bless him.
Yes,